huge Christmas present score this Black Friday. I just got a brand new Xbox for my kids. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be great. It's also the best trade I've ever made in my life. Hi YouTube, I'm Dad. Welcome to another one of my videos. Adam here, and today we're going to go through everything you need to know to edit and prepare your vocals for mixing. You want to gain stage them, you want to edit out breaths and lip smacking and things like that. You want to make sure that your leads and your backgrounds are all meshing well together, that they're ending notes on the same thing, consonants line up, things like that. And then you number little tips and techniques and tricks and things that I use. And here we go. Let's get into this right away. All right, here we are on Reaper. I have a project that my band did recently. We released this a couple weeks ago. It's called Everything Will Be All Right. Due to the internet connection at our practice space where all of our mic setups and our mixing board and everything is for vocals, we weren't able to do a live session. So what I'm treating this as is if I'm a mixer, I'm a mix engineer, and I have a band that gave me a project to work on, and I need to get these files all set up and all ready to go, and then I'm going to mix them. So what I have here is there's, I don't know, 36 to 56, 20 vocal tracks, including all the folders here and everything. What I did is first is I did a little bit of cleanup before we started. Colored everything purple because V for violet for vocals, just like B is for blue for bass, and G is for green is for guitars, and Y is for yellow for your drums, and keys is orange for O keyboards. They're Irish. First thing I want to do is, before I even forget, because this is going to annoy me, is I want to just put a quick EQ on the vocal bus. I have a preset in here that I use, but I do have a high pass right at 100 hertz. Just going to leave that. That'll take away any of the, kind of sounds, or the real low thumps, or in some cases you can actually hear somebody tapping on the floor and it's picking up through the mic stand. It kind of gets rid of all that rumble. And in a lot of projects, I actually leave that right on the vocal track because I don't really need to worry about it. So first, what I need to do is figure out what I all have here. I know that I have a lead, I have a double. Dylan likes to double his vocals, kind of like Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. And then Dylan likes to separate his recordings out so he doesn't accidentally overwrite things and just kind of separates his mind. So he records verses and choruses all separately. To make it easier on myself, I want to combine all these tracks. So the first thing I want to do, blow it out a little bit here, and then down here we have a lead chorus. So the first thing I want to do is take this track and merge it with the one above, but you can see they're overlapping a little bit. So I'll solo both of these out here, figure out where they overlap, and then we'll figure out how to edit them together. Actually, listen to this one first. Let go and love, let go. Okay, so he just sang an extra note, because if we solo this one down here, it's going to start with the let. Let go. And I like the way he sings that much better than this low let here. So I'm going to just edit this back, take this away to right about where the beginning, if you could see this line as I edit it. I can't really move it because it'll move the whole wave, but you could see where I edited it right before. And then I'm going to take this line, split this vocal, delete this part, and now we can move this whole thing up. And if we look at this, there's no vocals on this track, so I can just delete this one out. Next step is there's another lead in here, and that's down here, the chorus lead. This one I can just drag straight up. And if you notice what I did there, I put my cursor in the beginning of the file, and then when I move it, I can move it all over the place and get it all screwed up, but that guide is still there. So I can line that right up to the guide. All right, and then if I go back to this lead, you'll notice there's nothing on this track, so I can delete this. All right, next thing I need to do is, you can see the different volumes here. This is, if we actually play this and look at our meter, which is going to be really hard to see. So remind yourself to blow this up in the video. Trust me. It's strange. So this is peaking like -20, but then if I go all the way down here, let go, and this is peaking at like -6. What I want to do is I want to get all my vocals, I want to gain stage them just about to negative 18 dB. And the reason for that is when we get into compressing these vocals in the mix, if I come up with a vocal that's here at the negative 20, it's barely going to compress it, where it's going to squash the hell out of this negative 6. And it's not going to be able to get a really good solid vocal performance. It's kind of going to it's gonna kind of kill the whole thing. Now that said, we don't want to crush the dynamics here. We're gonna leave that. We're not gonna normalize these things, or we're not going to, you know, do like a flat bar compression on it. But we want to make these, you know, gain stages a little bit better. I want to find a part that looks, and I'm just eyeballing this, I'm not doing this scientifically at all, kind of looks in the middle. And that looks like this first chorus here.
Thoughts again, oh no, it's strange.
And as I play this on, it's picking about negative 16. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to keep the first verse the same. I'm going to keep the chorus the same. And then as we get down into these louder vocals is when I'm going to gain stage these things a little bit lower.
The circling ruminations.
This is fine. This is fine.
Send me to solve unconscionable.
A lot of this is eyeballing. I could do this note right here too. So we'll do this. Bring this down. And what I'm doing is I know that this section is about between negative, say, 13 and negative 18. So I'm just taking anything that kind of looks like it's more than that, and I'm pulling it down in volume. And I'm doing this just by splitting with the S key and pulling it down. This little knob here. So we're gonna go through, and now what we'll notice when I bring these down,
thoughts, but
and now it peaks about negative 15. So that's gonna be fine for me. So I mean, just eyeballing this, it's all looking about the same, and
everything will be all right.
This word is really, really kind of loud, so I'm gonna take this section down a little bit. Every once in a while, you want to listen to, if you do something like this in the middle of the word. And what I should probably do is move this split out so it does the whole thing. Here looks like we could probably use some, not much at all here. I'm gonna do this just a little bit. It's really when we get down like this, let go.
Go and love.
Take that down, and then starting right here is where we really want to take. And if you look at the whole waveform, I could probably go all the way up to here. And this doesn't have to be precise, you know, 100% precise. Take this down, and this is coming down like 5-6 dB.
Love, let go, everything.
You hear just a little thing there. So if you zoom in, you do the little crossfade there to take care of any clicks or anything.
Oh, everything will be all right. Everything will be.
And then I want to take this section, really the whole thing here. This could come down even more.
Let go, everything will be all right.
There's some parts down here that are really loud.
Let go.
Yeah. So split this, split it here, and just kind of bring it down, and then this last part.
Let go, everything will be all right.
And this looks pretty good. This first lead looks pretty good. Now down here, obviously we have a much bigger problem. I'm going to move this down a lot before I even play it because I don't want to blow your ears out here. So
everything will be all.
We can come down even more here.
Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
That looks better. He came and did this last chorus in a different session, and obviously changed where he stood or where the mic was, or temperature, air conditioning, all that kind of stuff can really affect what your vocal levels are coming in. But I think for this track, this is fine. What we want to do here is you want to highlight these and glue them so that all of these different level changes are written to the wave. Best way to do that is, and you can do it the whole track, or you can do that just individual parts. I like to do this before I edit because I want to get all those splits out of there, because there's a ton of splits right here where I did all the changes. I don't mind having multiple levels of gluing. So what I do is I right click and drag across all the waves that I want to keep, and then I right click and do glue items. I should have a keystroke attached to that. Shame on me for not, because I use a lot. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one, just to write this minus 12 dB move to the wave. So now you notice it zeroed this back. All right, next step is I want to go back. I want to go in here and really listen and get rid of all of the breaths and like lip smacking, that kind of stuff, and just all sorts of extra stuff that makes, once you compress this, it's really going to be loud. In another song that I'll go through some background videos in another video on, I missed a breath in 2 or 3 background tracks, and we had like 30 backing tracks in this song, and by the time I compressed them, they were just like, this giant, huge, like crazy breath in the middle of the song, and where it was actually not a lot of music going on, so it really, really, really stood out. And I want to avoid that. First thing, I want to just edit all the way up, and I usually don't turn off the grid snapping. Sometimes I will, but most of the time I find I don't really need it. But what you're looking for is you're looking for this little thing right here, like these little, and let's see if I can play it and if you can hear it. Yeah, you can't really hear that right there. But I also want to do a crossfade in the beginning of anything that I snip through. So we'll just keep playing and kind of going through and wiping things out. And you can kind of hear what I'm taking out here. I'm going to leave that in there, but I'm going to do a fade out on it to pull it back a lot.
My thoughts again, oh no.
So you hear that? I don't know if I can turn up the limiter a little bit here.
My thoughts again, oh no.
Move this over so you can see it. There's this breath right here. I want to take that out. There's some songs, in fact, in Under the Moonlight, I left a breath in and a part because it was more of a theatrical performance type thing. But for this, I want to take it out. And you'll notice there's no loss in quality of sound or anything.
No, it's strange.
And the same here, there's a breath here. And I know this song really well because I've done it before, but you're going to want to listen through, take any kind of breaths or lip smacking or anything like that out of there.
So let go.
And this, it sounds like he did something too, where he punched in. So just kind of cross, or a kind of a manual crossfade here.
So let go. Everything will be alright.
So this B, you can hear the puff to it. I'm just going to take this down a little bit.
Will be alright. Will be alright.
And I have to crossfade it because it's.
Will be alright.
Here's a big breath that I'm going to take out right here. And you can see where the waveform, I mean, this whole thing is a breath. Take that whole thing out. And then you always want to crossfade on both sides. I do it manually. You can set Reaper up to do it automatically, but I find that I'm in here having to adjust it anyway, so I just leave it as manually doing it.
Everything will be alright.
Big breath here. And what I'm doing is I'm zooming in with the mouse. Oh, that's the wrong key. Zooming in with the mouse on the waveform, and it'll zoom in at the cursor. And then I'm splitting it with the S key.
Everything.
And then editing it. Keep on going here.
Everything will be alright.
And again, that B kind of kills that. In the crossfade, I'm just grabbing, you see the cursor change to this left thing. Not the left and the right, like the double bracket thing, but just the one bracket. And then drag it over one.
Will be alright.
take this breath out. So you get the idea. I'm going to stop here because you don't want to see me edit the entire vocal for the entire thing because there's a lot of it. When I'm done with this, what I will do is I will go through and glue it again. So select everything, right click on all the selections, do glue items, and then all of your edits are gone. Next step, I want to do the same thing on the doubled vocals that I did on the lead vocal. I want to take them and I want to combine them all on the same track. I want to go through and I go take all the breaths out, get all the volumes matched and everything. But what I wanted to do, I'm not going to do that here on this vocal, this video, because it's going to be boring as hell. But what I will do is show you how to line up some of these background vocals here. So I have the lead here and I have the double. I'm going to turn the double down a little bit because when we mix these, they're pretty much offset anyway. But I want to show you how we line up some of these words, because a lot of times Dylan will take 2 takes of a lead and just make the second one the double, and there's some things that are different. You can already see there's some stuff that's not really lined up here. He'll do a little word emphasis here and there. Sometimes I actually take and I copy the double and put it back in the lead because of this, but that's more stylistic stuff that I won't get into in this video. But let's listen to what this sounds like, what the double sounds like with the lead for this section.
Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright.
So right there, I won't go through anything. Everything else is pretty well lined up. And I don't want to make it perfect because it almost sounds like a phase issue then if I do. If I leave it off a little bit, it almost sounds like a natural slapback delay. But there's instances where he does this.
Everything will be alright.
So if you listen to the lead, just on this be all right in the tail of the all right.
Be alright.
So he ends all right and then it's done. But in this one,
Be alright.
he tails it off. So here's what I do for that. I split it right before the end. I edit a bunch of it out, and then and again, I use eyeball on this. I fade it so that it almost looks, the waveforms look similar. And I can tell this is not lined up. And then I just start listening to it and go by ear and see what it sounds like.
Be alright. Be alright. Be alright.
So you can hear the double dips down a little bit.
Be alright.
But because it's almost the same note, and it's not like a dissonant note, it actually is not bad. And because I'm fading it out a lot here, and I can change, if you right click on the fade, I can change a fade to this first one. Make it a more drastic fade here.
Be alright.
And now you can't even tell that it's a different note.
Let go and love.
Let me solo out just these two because I hear Ray in there. I'm gonna mute Ray here. One of the things I like doing for vocals too is I'll go through and I'll mute every track and I'll bring in one at a time. Because you don't want to sit here with me for 2 hours editing vocals on a song that we've already released, because I don't want to do that either. I'm not going to do that. So we'll just listen to the tail ends of these notes. The big thing we want to listen to is the tail ends of the notes. So like this word right here. So the B, it's tapered a little bit there, and in this it's almost cut off. But together they're okay.
Let go and love.
What you want to watch is consonants when both vocals are ending. So we have love, which almost sounds like an F sound here.
Love.
A lot of times what I'll do is I'll taper off the double.
Love.
You have one vocal doing the V, and that's going to be all you need. You don't need the consonants really harsh and really doubled, because then you have to line them up perfectly. And it ends up sounding artificial. So let's try to bring in a background vocal here. So here's some choruses. Here is a chorus background. Let's do this part. I'm going to drag this up here. And we'll go with the lead here. I just want to show a different pitched vocal along with the lead and how you line those up. Now, all the breaths are still in here. I haven't edited those out, and I don't want to do like the video magic thing where I put the cake in the oven and I come back 15 minutes later, just because I don't feel like going through the effort of doing this. Somebody else can do that.
Everything will be.
Take the volume way down.
Everything will be alright.
Okay, you can hear that first phrase is just a complete disaster here. I'll take the breath out of here. And we'll go with the lead here. So here's some choruses. Here is a chorus background. Let's do this part. I'm going to drag this up here. And we'll go with the lead here. So here's some choruses. Here is a chorus background. Let's do this part. I'm going to drag this up here. I'll take the breath out of here. I'll split this off and just delete that part. As you can see right here, one starts way before the other one does.
Everything, everything,
So if you listen to the lead,
everything,
it starts right away if you listen to the background,
everything,
and they're not in sync at all.
everything will be.
The problem here is that because they're so out of sync, I can't really do anything to fix them other than just cut something out. So stylistically, I'm going to take the words everything will and start the background on B.
Everything will be.
And then we have problems with the B as well. So maybe,
Everything will be.
so I'm going to cut this all the way to here. And now the background will just start on the word B.
Everything will be alright.
But you'll notice the lead is singing
Be all.
and the background singing.
Be alright.
So I need to chop off this word B on the background. And let me move this track up so it's easier to see.
Be all.
So right here is where the word ends. So I'm going to split it right there. Could probably split a little bit later. Taper it off, and then I got to do a big fade on this in.
Everything will be alright.
Not quite.
Everything will be alright.
So there you go. So I needed to line up the word B, and actually this word is a little bit off here. So I will, if you hold down the shift key, you can move this, not snap to grid. So I'm going to move this a little bit and taper it off.
Everything will be alright.
And then again, you have to cut off this and make it match better.
Alright.
And that's pretty tight.
Will be alright.
So that's what you want to do with your background vocals. Let me see if I can find one that has a consonant.
Everything will be alright. Let go and love. Let go. Everything will be alright.
And
Everything will
let's all shame Dylan right here. Dylan, what are you doing? Listen.
be alright.
Yeah. So now I have to cut this yeah out because it doesn't belong there. And if you notice, this be all right is going to be all off.
It'll be alright.
But for that, I think I'm going to let the lead go and treat this as more of a backup vocal where it tapers off. We'll let the lead go. If I really wanted to, I could taper the lead off to match up perfectly, but I don't think it's too bad.
Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Let go and love.
If you heard that, we'll shame Dylan some more. Dylan, what are you doing?
Let go and love.
So here's another v at the end that I would probably just taper the background vocal off and let the lead go in as well.
Let go and love.
And that way you only have one v that you have to line up, and once you compress the shit out of it, it doesn't screw things up. So what I went through here is I went through gain staging a vocal, but we lined up, we got the lead vocal all figured out, we got the gain stage, and then we went through and lined up some vocals, both a doubled and a background vocal. Now there were some things in here, if we were doing this live and we were all in the same room, absolutely 100% I would have had him re-record some of these. There were some performance things that I really liked, so I wanted to keep. There were a couple parts in the doubles that I copied into the lead. There were a couple things that he did where he went up high in the going into the Let Go and Love, the chorus. But for now, I think this will get everyone going. What I'm really hoping is that you learned something on this. So make sure you spend the time editing your stuff. Make sure you spend the time going over all these little things and zooming into 5 million% and getting the breath out of there. And make sure you get all your consonants lined up. There's nothing worse than a 3-part harmony where everyone ends the note at a different point. And absolutely 100% in the studio you can fix that, even if it's not a very tight recorded vocal. especially in the COVID, world we're doing now. Everyone's doing remote recording. Just if you can't get it perfect, you can't get it lined up perfectly for whatever reason, fix it here. I showed you a couple of ways how to do it, and hopefully this helps. So before we go here, if you like the video, make sure to click the thumbs up button. Make sure to hit subscribe button, hit the little bell thing so I can annoy you when I upload these videos. And if you really want to help, do you like Coca-Cola? I like Coca-Cola. This is my product placement ad. I don't get paid by Coca-Cola, but I like drinking it. I have a link to buy me a Coke down in the description. It's just your way of, giving me a little extra help in buying my next case of Coke. Until next time, friends, this is Dad, over and out. I don't know why I just said that. I've never said over and out in my life. I went through and I showed you how to get rid of all the breaths and pops and snaps and crackles and those little dudes that jump into the cereal bowls.